7 p.m. Friday, then baby goes to sleep. Outside with my besties, my husband's calling me. Hey, welcome, hey, to the podcast. Let's go. Turn me up. Hey. Hey.
But keep it down because the baby's sleeping.
Hey. Hey y'all, welcome to the podcast When Keeping It Real Goes Right. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dr. C, and welcome to episode 2, You Got the Right One. So we're going to share our stories about when our jobs got the right one.
Someone at work got the right one, whether it was a supervisor, a colleague, a parent, a student, the delivery man, somebody got the right one. You want to start us off?
Yes. Oh my God. I have this story that I actually share a lot because it was so impactful for me and my students and a lot of the staff that I work with. So at my previous place of employment at a school I used to work at, there was this woman, this Caucasian woman who was the assistant principal at the school. And, we started off on a really bad note. She was really just coming for me for whatever reason. And then halfway or midpoint through the year, I remember sitting in my classroom, and you know how it is in middle school. Like girls are always bickering, fighting over who likes who, and no, he likes me, and that's my man, and da-da-da-da.
Those hormones.
All of that. And or like, oh, you looked at me weird, you looked at me wrong, whatever. So I had a group of girls, they were having a really hard time. And mind you, they were all friends, right? So it was normal, but also kind of weird that they were always fighting. But it is what it is. It was middle school. One day I was sitting in my classroom when the kids went out to recess because Miss Latour didn't do recess.
So no recess duty for you?
I got out of it every possible way that I could.
Wow.
Because I hated
lunch duty.
I had lunch. So I had lunch duty.
Okay.
I was a teacher who was like, I'm not going outside. I don't care if it's winter, summer, spring. I don't care. I don't do outside. Not with kids. Not with middle school children. Because if I get hit with that ball, it's on.
Yeah.
So I always sign up for like lunch duty, or I'd be the teacher to stay behind on the field trip to discipline the kids that couldn't go on the field trip. So yeah, I was that teacher. But anyways, back to the story. So I was in my classroom, not doing recess duty. And my girls, they came upstairs. A couple of them came upstairs running to me, and some of them were like crying. And I was like, what's going on? What's wrong? And they're like, Miss Latour, you won't believe what so-and-so said. And I'm like, what did she say? And they're talking about the assistant principal at that time. I'm like, what did she say? And it took them a while to get it out. They were so traumatized that even I was scared to like hear what they were gonna say.
And at that age, they lack the ability to have like words to communicate their emotions as well.
Exactly. So I'm like, what happened? What did she say? What did she say? They said that the AP is so tired of hearing us argue and fight that if she hears about one more incident of us getting into it with one another, that she was going to call her state police husband to come down here and arrest them.
Wow.
And I said, what? And at that time, my entire class was coming up from recess, ready for me to start the lesson. And one of my co-teachers, who was the special ed teacher at the time, I briefed him on what happened. And I said, I need you to take over the class real quick because I need to handle this. I went downstairs. I went to the principal's office. And what I loved about my principal at that time is I considered him a mentor as well as like a big brother. And I loved our conversations where I could be like, okay, can I come to you from like a little sister perspective? Or can I come to you as like a teacher? So we were able to switch off and on whenever we had our conversations. And that's what I really appreciate about our relationship. So at that moment, I was given both. And he always knew when I was coming down, the minute he already knew something happened, right? And so I explained to him what happened. He was shocked. He asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I'd like to report her to HR. Because I'm not above it. One thing I learned through my experience, because I used to fight with my words a lot, but in the wrong way, I learned how to do both in a way that it will still get me what I need and what I want. And yeah, that was a really rough situation. So anyways, long story short, HR came down, wrote a formal report. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of denial, etc. But every single time there was any type of interaction between us, I made sure to report it to HR because she got the right one.
Do you think she was intentionally trying to intimidate you after that?
Yeah, because actually that's how our relationship started. When she first met me, I didn't know this woman from a hole in the wall. I'm hanging up my classroom decorations in the 6th grade classrooms when I was teaching 6th grade. And I'm standing on a ladder. And she comes up behind me, click-clacking behind me, and I'm turning around. And she's like, hey, Caroline, can I talk to you for a minute? And I'm like, sure. She's like, do you like your job? That was the first thing she said to me when she met me. Walked in my classroom and asked me if I liked my job. First of all, I don't like threats.
Because I was going to say, those are low-key, what we would say, fighting words, but words is like leading towards I'm going to get fired.
Okay, so I looked at her like, I said, yeah, why would you ask me that? And she proceeded to say, she's like, I understand that, you have your bachelor's and your master's and you're going after your doctorates, but please understand that there are other people in the building who also have experience and degrees. I also have my master's. Ma'am, when did this conversation, what is happening? How did we get here? And it was in that moment that I knew she was mad. I want to reiterate that this is a white woman. So for me, from that moment in time in the summer, getting ready in my classroom and that interaction with her, it was hell for me all year. She made sure of that. But I also gave it back, so.
Listen, one thing I will say I learned in my professional experience is if you make me uncomfortable, I'm definitely going to return it. And right then and there. Right then and there.
So what about you?
Oh, so what feels like 100 years ago, I used to do, I used to work and do gang intervention and prevention. So when I say the gang, like working with young people that were either in the criminal justice system, DCF involved, DYS involved, probably had a weapon on them while we're having our meetings, right? And I was assigned a new neighborhood.
Okay.
And one of the, unfortunately, the way society perceives this neighborhood or the perception that the city has of this neighborhood, like this is the worst neighborhood of the city of Boston. But what I will say is like this community was amazing and embraced me with open arms, except for the person that was quote unquote from that neighborhood. So my first day, I remember going to the neighborhood, checking on the students that were the kids that lived there, the residents, introducing myself. And the first thing he asked me is, where are you from? Where I'm from? Where I'm from? So me, I'm like, Boston. No, like where in Boston? I'm at work. Why are you with me? Why are you doing this hood, territorial, gangbanging stuff? Where am I from?
Yeah.
I'm from Boston.
Yeah.
And I'm here to do my job. And when I tell you, he did not like the fact that I was like an outsider working with students and young people in this community, the families in this community. He was calling down to City Hall. Mind you, I just had my son, and that's another story for another day, like how old I was when I had Samir and what was happening with him.
Yeah.
But he was calling City Hall saying that he doesn't see me in the community. So skip the department I work for and went to City Hall, okay?
Right over your head.
Yes. My supervisor was getting reports from City Hall, and he's like, all right, I have to come do like a neighborhood walk with you. When I tell you it couldn't be a better day, It was like the springtime, so the weather probably was like 75. Everyone was outside. As soon as I got out my car, all the kids ran up to me, the parents ran up to me, but I'm not in the community though. And I hate that because sometimes you gotta sometimes you want to remind people like, don't let these degrees fool you.
Okay,
you have no,
let me tell you something.
You have no idea.
Right.
No idea.
Right.
Like, like to this day, it still bothers me because I'm like, things could have looked a lot different, right? Had I not been someone that had reason. Like, what do you mean? Where am I from?
Yeah, we get that a lot. Where are you from?
Yeah, that's not how you introduce yourself to
it's
to
so
people.
Odd. It's
So, what ended up happening after? So I would say maybe like a month or so working maybe I did like 3 months there. I just asked for a transfer because I'm like, I can't work in this community under these conditions. It feels like harassment. It's interfering with the relationship I'm trying to build with the residents and everything else, especially when this person is intentionally trying to sabotage relationships that I had with other young people that was also like his mentor, so to speak. And then everything happens for a reason because I got transferred. And then from that transfer, I met someone I like to consider a mentor who was an amazing man that basically showed me the ropes in the school system. And that's how I landed like with the position that I have now. So you never know. Like things be happening for a reason. God puts you in situations that you can handle bigger things.
Facts.
Because when I tell you, when I got into the other neighborhood, the dean that I worked with at one of the schools, he was the only dean, and the girls at the time were giving him a run for his money. So he was calling me like, I need your support. I need your support. These girls are going crazy up here. They're going crazy. And I was able to build a positive relationship with those young women. And to this day, like, I still talk to them, and they're doing amazing.
I love
that. So
that.
everything happens for a reason.
I love that.
Based on that story, how do you feel like your lived experiences impacted the way you responded to that woman or any place at work?
When I think about what like 20, 21-year-old Caroline would have responded to in that moment, I would have probably been escorted out of the building because I would have put my hands on her. Because not for nothing, I held a lot of rage in my 20s. And I'm not going to lie, I still hold a little bit of rage, but not to the extent that I did in my 20s that would have had me act out and lose a job. Because teaching was my life, is my life, right? It's my career. So I was not going to allow someone to jeopardize that, no matter how wrong they were. I wanted to one-up her. And for me, even though she remained employed the entire year after multiple aggressions towards me, towards the students, I had all that on record. It was all on record. I mean, what they decided to do with that record, I don't know, but I was just so proud of myself and proud of my girls for standing up for themselves and also feeling safe and comfortable enough to share that with me. Because it made me feel like, wow, y'all trust me. Y'all trust me that much to take care of you. And I'm so happy that even with all the ups and downs, you knew that. You knew that. I'm telling Miss Latour because I know she got me. And I always got you. So that felt really good for me. And I also wanted to show an example for them. Like, this is how you handle it. Like, I'm trying to get y'all away from responding and fighting, right? And using, yes, you can use fighting words, but how you use those words matter.
Absolutely. Words do matter. You said something that reminded me of like me 10 years ago took different response. I never wanted to be labeled as like the aggressive black woman in the workplace. So a lot of things I would just take to the chest or take it to the chin and it is what it is type of thing. But as I got older, I started to think, I deserve to be here just like you. And if you have the liberty to think you can say whatever you want to say to me, I'm going to let you know how you made me feel uncomfortable by responding back to you. So before I would just let things slide, now I would actually say like, nope, as a black woman that has landed on me like this. And the moment someone hears the as a black woman, now everyone is quiet, right? But the HR thing is something that I don't know, I don't want to speak like generalize all people of color, but I don't think we use that as a tool enough.
We don't.
Especially like when we're raised and taught like you handle things. One, we don't snitch, so to speak, right? Like let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
Then we're supposed to handle things what? 1-to-1. And then if we go and then what?
The thing is, as black women, we're expected to take it to the chin. And I was someone who often rocked the boat at work. Should call me Aaliyah because I was rocking that boat, baby. Because I just okay, cue music. But it's because I knew, to put it simply, I wanted to be the teacher, the adult, the confidant, that person that other teachers that I admired growing up was for me. I wanted to be that for my students times 100. And so I didn't care if I was going to burn that bitch to the ground. I needed to protect my kids. And so I did whatever it took. And having conversations with folks and families and everything like that over the years, I'm like, I'm pretty sure a lot of that forced me to hit the ceiling in certain jobs. So not being able to move forward. But I'm okay with that because I felt like the fight was way more important than a new title or, I never, I couldn't fake the funk. I just wish I wasn't the spokesperson for every black person at that school, and I wish we banded together more. I think folks are more afraid of losing their jobs, and I wasn't. And so, yeah, that was really, really important for me. It's important for me for my students, for my girls especially, to know that I got their backs.
So I can only imagine how many conversations you've had in the lunchroom with other staff of color, but you're the only one out there with the pitching for, right? Okay. Like how does that feel? Because there's ways like we can be siloed as black women amongst our own folks that we identify with, and then also when we're in predominantly white spaces as well.
It's interesting that you asked me that and you say that because it makes me think about the fact that the reason why I felt like I had to fight all the time at previous jobs, it wasn't just that job, it was a lot of schools that I was at, was because we were siloed, like our small black community, we were siloed, but I also was like I was the one who had the voice. I was the one who wasn't afraid of whatever came my way, so I kind of took that hit. I took it to the chin for my people. And so being in my new position at my new job, I realized I don't actually have to do all that. And I think it really just depends on the environment that you work in, that fight or flight, right? Like in a lot of my previous jobs, I was in fight mode. And now I finally found a place it's not toxic like my previous, experiences. Still have some toxicity, that positive work toxicity, right? That nobody talks about. But I'm not fighting for my life like I was before. So that's like a huge difference for me.
That feels good.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that feels like. I know for myself, I think some of my past traumas of like being afraid to not have, because there's been times in my life where I just did not have for whatever reason, right? Had a great childhood. I don't want to seem like I had some awful childhood, but to work for certain institutions, you say like you work for a certain organization that people are looking at you like you made it, right? And I low key, like that was my definition of black excellence. So I don't want to jeopardize the fact that I made it by rocking the boat.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I work here, and everyone's like, "You work there," and so like this means something to you all. It was like a symbol.
sorry to interrupt, but
Mhm.
you saying that line just made me think that our definitions of Black excellence look different. So for me, yes, working somewhere where people are like, "Oh my God, you work there," where yes, and Black excellence for me really means shaking it up where you're at if things or people or systems in place are not beneficial to the community. And for me, that's bigger. That's my Black excellence. Even if it means burning that shit to the ground. We all burning together. Okay? So that's so interesting. I also want to bring it back to the conversation we kind of really talked about in terms of like feeling siloed at work. I want to ask you, because we talked about previous experience, so let's talk about our current experience. How does it feel? Have you ever been siloed in your current role? Does it look different from when you were at your previous role, and how so?
Oh, okay. So that is a loaded question.
Yeah.
It is. And it's loaded because you know where I work, right? And I feel like to protect my peace of mind, I am siloed. And sometimes I feel like I intentionally silo myself because I don't want to be part of the drama that's happening, right? Because again, it's so funny because now, like how you say you shake stuff up. So 10 years ago, Sophia wasn't shaking things up. Today, Sophia's shaking things up, right?
Hey.
Like so it's interesting that you say that as well. But then you feel like you're saying all the right things. You know what you need. We know what the students need. We know what the communities need. Everyone in the room knows that, but everyone's looking at you like you're the one with 8 heads. So for me, in order to do my job, because what I say is, the role that I'm in and the population that I serve, like someone else's downfall or disadvantage, I don't want to say downfall, it's negative, but someone else's quote unquote disadvantage is my blessing. Like, this is how I feed my family. This is how I'm able to go on vacations, get my hair done. So I want to do this job well. So in order not, and I'm not to toot my own horn, I'm an asset, right? Because I have
toot it, girl. Toot.
I have similar experiences as some of the people that I work with, not all. And also, I know how to advocate for them as well. So I would hate for the community to lose me. So I do what I need to do, and that's minding my business and not fraternizing, right, with the other people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then showing up where I need to show up. But it sucks, because sometimes you do want to be at work and be able to kick it with a coworker or walk for lunch with someone. But you don't know if you can safely do that, because what you said during that walk, now someone else is repeating it to you.
Which has happened.
Yes, it has.
Yes.
And that's exactly why how past professional experiences also impact how I show up at work today.
Yes. So I'm with you in terms of the whole purposefully siloing yourself. I feel like where I work right now, my team is really small, pretty much down to me. And I always I just sat at my desk. I did what I needed to do. I would say hi to folks, but like you, I kept to myself. I kept my head down because I'm like, I am not about to go there with people. I just came from there. I need a break. Right? And so I didn't allow myself the first couple of years to really get close to anyone. And when I did get close to people, if it wasn't on my team, it was the other people in my workplace that looked like me. And I feel like, yes, our experiences play a role in that in terms of siloing ourselves, whether it was a choice or not. But I also feel like everyone else plays a role as well. I feel like everyone is super nice to you when you first get into the job. They want to hang with you. They want to talk to you. Then after a while, they start, kind of testing you out and just testing you in different ways. And then people make their decisions, and then they go about their separate ways. Also, when I think about work, I think about all the little cliques. It's like high school all over again. Everyone's in a clique, and I'm like, I've never been someone who was in a clique. I've always been the outsider. And so I sometimes find myself in workplaces feeling like I'm reliving high school again. which I would never redo. But yeah, it's really hard. Like you said, like not being invited to lunch or whatever, like things like that. I didn't really start speaking up until maybe about a year ago, where I was like, you know what? Let me dig up the old rock the boat Caroline because I'm feeling a little snippy today. And so, but also just with everything happening in the world, everything happening in the world, and then some of the conversations that I was hearing really kind of just reignited that fire for me to kind of rock the boat, but in a different way. And so sharing, like being very explicit and very honest about the fact that no, I don't feel like I am a part of a community here. I'm excluded in certain things. Here's perfect examples. And some people were like, oh yeah, I totally see that, or I saw that. Okay, so why didn't you say anything? And then you have the people who are like, oh, I didn't even realize that. Bitch, yes you did. Like, the fuck? But whatever. My biggest thing, like we talked about in our last episode, once I share how I feel with you about something, it is on you to fix it. I'm going to give you an opportunity to fix it.
Yeah.
And if you choose not to fix it, I know where I stand with you.
Right.
And I know exactly where to put you. That goes for friendships, whatever type of relationships, work, whatever.
That makes sense. I don't know if I would definitely, one thing I definitely, so my first 2 years when I started at my employer, whatever, place of employment, I was rocking the boat. Then 2.5 years in, I was like, you know what? I started closing my office door. Ooh. But what that did was not only did I isolate, the students didn't feel like they had access to me anymore. Because my door was always shut. My door was never shut. I thought I was busy. So then I had to start keeping the door open and just letting people know, like, I'm busy, I can't meet with you. Because people would just come in and just start talking about, well, this is happening. Why do you think I'm not busy? Because my door's open. Right? So I just need to grow professionally and say I can't have that conversation right now. Because I'm always the person that want to give an ear.
Yeah.
I get so sidetracked by stopping and tending to someone else that I'll hold space for you for 2 hours, and now I'm 2 hours behind work, and you're off doing whatever you're doing.
Yep.
So just professionally being able to say, like, I can't talk about this right now. Send me an email and we can find a time to meet. It sounded so rude when I first say it, but now I'm like, yeah, just send me an email. I'll find us a time to meet.
I'm so glad you said that because now we are going to segue into our challenges, okay, that you face as a Black woman in the workforce. And the reason why that made me think of that this next segment is because of the way your tone shifted when you talked about how you had to change how you said it. And I hate that shit because let me explain something to you. No matter how we say it, how many exclamation points we add to the end of a sentence, even in speaking, there's an issue. I didn't like the way you said that. That was a little, like, too aggressive, right? I just feel like no matter how we phrase things, whether it's via email, whether it's in person, if we don't slap a smile on our face while we're saying it, woo, you would have thought that we done cussed somebody's mama out or somebody's grandmother out. And it's like, no, like, this is my voice. This is my face.
The face is a good one. This
is me. Like, you have to accept that. I'm like, yeah, so definitely learned a lot. Yeah, what about you?
It's funny you say that. The face thing I definitely get because I don't have a poker face, so ever play poker with me, like, you're going to know what I have in my hand, right? But I will say, my mother is great at talking her way out of situations. She's great at meeting people, so I will say I have that gift. So I've never been told, I don't like the way you said that to me. And it's funny because my staff will actually, and when I say my staff, it's like my team, like my teammates, my coworkers would actually say, Sophia, you should have the conversation because you know what to say. I'm always a person that knows what to say.
I agree. You do, actually.
Everyone, like, you know what to say. So that's not a challenge. But let me be in a meeting and something lands on me wrong. Absolutely, you will know that landed on me wrong. And there are times when people call me out for it. I don't like it, and I will name it right then and there. Like, I have the liberty to express myself however I want.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like, don't call me out.
Yeah.
Or do you have something to say? If I had something
Bro,
to say,
I would have said it.
Right.
Don't call on me like I'm like in 6th grade and I have to participate. I'm not gonna say. Oh, I almost said the name, but that happened to me at work like a year or so ago at the same place of employment I was at. Well, 2 years ago when COVID was happening, we were online, and I was silent during that time because sometimes I like to process things and I like to listen since I'm always talking. So that in that meeting, I was like, I'm gonna take a listening stance. You would have thought I was trying to shut the building down or something. I didn't talk the entire meeting, and I got called out for it. Caroline, do you have something you want to add? And everybody's looking at me on the Zoom, on the Teams, and I'm like, nope. I said, nope. I did. I didn't want to share, though.
Right.
And I said, no, I don't, because I'm just listening right now. If I have something I want to say, I'll share it later. I was so pissed. I was livid.
Yeah, I don't like that. No.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. I don't need to raise my hand to say something. I don't need you to ask me if I need space. I know how to request to talk.
Yes. I will say this, moving on a different note, on a more positive note. At my job recently, we did the 5 voices assessment, and I can definitely say that it definitely changed the way that I interact with folks at work.
5 voices assessment.
Yes.
We take note of that.
Yeah, I will send it
What's
to
that?
you, or I'll link it here. I can't remember who created it. It's escaping my mind right now, but it's called the 5 voices assessment, and it assesses your 5 voices, your inner voices. And there's one that's like super dominant, and then there's others that are like underlying that may show up in different ways. And I will say that it definitely has changed in a positive way the way that I interact with folks at work. I'm nurturing the voices that need nurturing, and then I'm connecting with folks who have those same voices that I don't pay attention to. So it's actually really good. Like, we'll link it in our bio. Y'all can do it at work. I find that some of the voices translate to my personal life. I was like, oh, I'm like that in my personal life too. So it's really cool. But I will say, I feel like I've grown a lot in the workforce. But again, like, I will still not tolerate bullshit. And I will still call you out on your shit. And I will still send an reply all email, baby. Because, you got the right one. Okay?
Allies.
Our allies at work. I was sharing a funny story with you earlier.
Allies.
Honestly, I'm just going to talk about one.
I have an ally story, and I have a different perspective, but go ahead.
Woo! Obviously, like, we have our white allies, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to talk about y'all. Sorry. I feel like we've taken up enough airtime about our traumatic experiences with Caucasian folks in terms of our work experience. But I did have some, I do have some allies at work that are of a different race than me. So shout out to y'all. But I will say, ain't nothing like an ally that's a black woman, honey, or a black man. And let me tell you, I was telling you earlier this funny story. You know how you have those big, like those aunties at work that's like, yes, honey, like, yes, hair, yes, dress. I have an uncle.
Hey, uncle.
Hey, okay. And when I tell you I love it because I don't even remember his name. Oh my God. But I don't see him often. He doesn't work on the same floor as me. Mm-hmm. But this man brings me so much joy every time I randomly see him because he does that black auntie / black uncle thing. So like the other day I was wearing yellow pants and I went into the kitchen and he was coming into the kitchen at the same time that I was. And I was like, hey, and he was like, He goes, no, what you doing wearing those pants? He's like, don't hurt him now. And I started screaming. And I was like, well, you got to dress for the, for the job that you want, not what you have. And he's like, amen, amen, amen. And I was just dying because every single time we interact, that's like the first thing he does. And it really like just betters my mood and just amps me up.
It's okay. Yes. And especially where I work, one thing I said to one of my coworkers that whenever Black people, when we see each other, we speak no matter what. No matter what, we acknowledge each other. Like, I see you. We're here. You're good. It could be only two of us in the room.
And
it could be a head nod. How are you? And one of my colleagues, we were walking down the street, and a Black man just spoke, and she was like, "You're right. You all really do speak to each other." I'm like, "Yes. When we're not in our community, you need to know, like, if something happens here, I got you. You're good. We see each other."
That's it.
All the time. And the other day, I was walking out the building, and I think the guy was a new hire. It was an older Black man, and I said, "How are you?" to him. And he spoke. He was like, "That's rare, right?" I was like, "Huh?" Because I didn't hear him. He was like, "You're the first person that ever spoke to me since I started." Because culturally, that's what we do. We greet people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is also true. I will say we did have someone new that came onto our team for recruiting, and there was a lot going on in my job, and other folks were like, welcoming him in and stuff like that. And I would say hi, but I never actually went over and introduced myself yet. Because I'm also the type of person who I like to watch folks first before I like involve myself. So that's
even an introduction.
Yeah, because I'm also weird at stuff like that.
Okay.
Like, I'm awkward. I know. It's so crazy. As someone who's like outgoing, I'm kind of like a introvert a little bit when it comes to certain things, like at work. So when I think about, how you said, like, we greet each other, like, it's just in our nature, that kind of goes to, like, our choices of being siloed or not siloed at work, and if we're, like, innocent bystanders, or, like, what do we do to change it? I would say I'm the type of person who, like, I tread carefully first. I like to see how someone is first before I interact with them. And so this new person who came on our team, maybe it was, like, their first week. I didn't say anything. I think it was towards the end of their first week or the end of their second week is when I actually was like, okay, I'm gonna make the time to introduce myself. And the minute we clicked, and we go out to get lunch, we text, like, we do different things together. And for me, that was just, that's how I protect myself too. You know what I mean? Because I thought about the post that we had posted on our story about, like, oh, have you ever felt siloed? Have you ever siloed someone? Mm-hmm. And, like, there were folks that were, like, split between, yes, like, I've done it or I've seen it. I didn't do anything about it. So it made me think about that.
My introduction is not an invite to be your friend. Sorry. I want to say that.
Woo!
I don't mean it in
Ouch.
Like a... I know.
Ouchies.
Because I have trust issues at work, and I don't care. I don't say I don't care to have work friends. That's not fair to say at all. I definitely made a friend from work, even within this job now, right? Shout out to you. You know who you are. But I will say my introduction is not an invite for a friendship. It's just me being polite and respectful and recognizing another or acknowledging another human in the space.
You think that people actually take that as an invitation? Is that what makes you feel uncomfortable?
I don't feel uncomfortable.
Mm.
I just know I just know that just because I said hi to you doesn't mean that we're going to be going to lunch. But that's not the issue. The issue is I don't want to be your friend because of my past experiences at work where I did make friends and what that turned out to be. Mm-hmm. But I will be respectful and acknowledge you as a human in the space, sharing the same space with me. Mm-hmm. That does not mean I want to be like, oh, what's your number? Can we go on text and stuff?
Yeah.
But greeting people, I have definitely was an awkward thing for me to do, but now I just do it because I realize because it is something that most people are not comfortable with doing. I do it to break the ice so that you can be comfortable in the space.
Not me. I don't care.
But that does not mean we're gonna be friends.
Let me rephrase. I don't. It's not that I don't care. That is like the last thing on my list because I'm just trying to sometimes make it through the day. But
Slow down.
Right. But also what you shared, you know, it really made me think like, I should be more proactive with new people and say hello. Just because I say hello, well, I mean, I do say hello, but I don't introduce myself. That doesn't mean that we're going to be friends. Yeah. And I just have to remember that. I think I'm so like, if I say hi, if I say we're going to be,
you
they're
start
gonna try to
overthinking
talk to,
it.
Yeah, which I do, y'all. Like we talked about in the first
you're
episode.
probably creating a whole story in your head.
Oh.
I say hi and
First of all,
now we're going to lunch tomorrow and now what's going to happen?
Yo, in the first episode, did I not say one of my cons as a friend is that I tend to overthink and attach stories to things that have not. I'm like, yo, girl, you gotta chill. I mean, I be right half the time, but I still need to chill. So yeah, I'm gonna take that into consideration. Thank you. I like that a lot.
Perfect.
Okay. So shall we wrap it up?
Yes, we can.
Sangwood.
Okay. So, classic. Nuck if you buck.
Yes.
Because for me, nuck if you buck in the workforce means this. If you're going to be that person that sends the email, be ready for the response. That's it. Whether it's going to be the reply all, because you started with the reply all, or because you CC'd our supervisor. And, right? Like, why are we now CCing people? Nuck if you buck.
That's it.
Stand on it.
That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all, y'all.
Whoa.
Yay.
We can do
all right.
5 professional goals or whatever.
Dang, 5.
How many?
You see what I mean? Like, I be doing that at work too. Like sometimes I don't even realize I'm singing out loud. My coworkers can attest to this. And everyone started busting out laughing. I'm like, I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Somebody will say something. I'm like, girl, bye. And yo, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Y'all, I'm funny. I'm telling you, I'm funny. I could be a lot, but I'm funny as hell.
You are.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. All right, 3?
Okay, that's good. But I don't like even numbers. Maybe 2? 2 or 4.
Sure.
2 or 4.
That is so weird.
Except the person who loves 18, but okay.
You don't like odd numbers?
I don't. It's weird to me. That's why I had a hard time remembering the year that we got married because it was 8, 18, 19. Who does that?
But it flows.
No, he should have asked me the year before. So that it could have been 8, 18, 18.
No, because then we would have had the same anniversary. And how would that have
been
worked?
Fine.
Would it?
Well, we didn't meet then, so it would have been great. We could go on trips together.
Yeah, I hate sharing dates, but that's a conversation for another day. I'm selfish. If you don't know, I have 7 siblings. So certain things I need to be mine. But anyways.
Well, I'm the oldest out of 3. So
here, take it all.
I guess. And that's how I am with my kids. Take it. Just take it all.
All right, sorry. 2 professional goals.
Okay. You go first.
Okay. All right. 2 professional goals. Mentors. So I will say this. Last year, I had identified and asked 3 women to be my mentors.
Oh.
But for various reasons.
Okay.
But what ended up happening was I was so busy that like the goals I set for myself to have for them to mentor me, I did not meet the goals at all. And asking people to be my mentor, that was hard for me.
Girl, you saying that and I'm literally going, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Right, but I know I looked at it as like, I aspire to be where they are.
Okay.
And for, like, again, different reasons. It was 2 black women and a white woman as well, that I asked to be my mentors. And I thought that I was going to be able to check in with them once a month. Didn't happen. Like, life is crazy this past school year.
Yeah.
I will revisit that to start in the fall and to try to stay true to it. So definitely mentors. And then the second would be turning my... Okay, I have 3. I know Caroline doesn't like... I'll try to find 4 for the sake of Caroline. My passions into professions. I would say that's a goal for this year.
Add that to mine.
So mentors, passions into professions. The networking. I have to definitely get better at networking with people. Because I always do what's familiar. And I want to break out of that. And talk to people that I would not talk to for whatever reason. Again, creating a story in my head. And then my 4th one is to be more intentional with my time at work.
I love that.
I was going to say organized, but for the most part I'm organized, but I need to just be more intentional about the things that I'm doing.
I like that a lot. Nice. Well. Okay, so my professional goals, number 1, I kind of set them sort of at work, but I'm going to pick here and there. So number 1 would be to be more intentional in terms of inserting myself and being an active and willing participant in my work community. So not siloing myself. Even though I feel lonely because my team is gone and someone that I considered a mentor is gone. So getting out of that. So being an active and intentional member in my work community, which leads to building relationships, etc., etc. The second one would be to, I would say, I want to do what you're doing about finding a mentor. I feel really awkward about that because I don't like asking for help in that way. That's odd to me. And I kind of feel like you're my mentor without me having to say that you're my mentor. Is that weird? It's like kind of unspoken. Like, obviously I look up to you, but I think I'll be more intentional with that too. So asking someone, can you be my mentor? And I have someone in mind. I think my 3rd professional goal is to be on time. Bitch is always late. I can hear my husband right now. Yes, she is. It don't matter what it is. She's late. I be trying, y'all. It's just...
You don't be that late. At least for me.
Thank you.
And I'm going to say that because...
Thank you.
I feel like when we make plans to go somewhere, you're always ready to go.
Oh, I am ready to go.
And there's been a couple of times you've been waiting for me.
This is true.
And what's interesting is I'm usually punctual. I hate being late. I don't like the perception that...
Oh, God. Now you sound like my husband. Get out of here with that.
I don't care about their time.
Oh, my God. You sound like my husband. But that's not what that means.
But that's how I feel.
I get there when I get there. You're lucky I even showed up. Only because, you know why I never took being on time as a huge thing is because life happens. And I feel like the person made it, so you should be happy that they made it. That's just been my thing. Also, like, I grew up in a Caribbean household. We was always late, honey. Like, my mom was always late picking us up. I love you. Last after school, like, lateness has been a part of my life, my entire life. So I have literally grown accustomed to it that it's now I've integrated it into my current life. But I'm trying, and I've gotten better. You can ask people. I have gotten so much better. There are people that are worse than me.
I'm called the time monster in my house. Because
sound like Kareem.
But go ahead, professional goals, because that's a
Oh, sorry. Yeah. See, look at that. So, working on my time management in terms of being places on time. I got to do better. I've done better. Shoot, I went from being 20 minutes late to 5 minutes late. Sometimes 10. Just depends. I'm here. Okay.
I remember the first time you told me that time was a social construct.
Time is a social construct. Y'all made that shit up.
I was just dying. I'm like, this woman is batshit crazy.
I am. Listen, baby, in certain countries, in certain
cultures,
in certain cultures, certain tribes in Africa, they don't start the meeting until everybody's there. Okay? And sometimes people be hours late and they won't start the meeting. So I'm like, being on time is a social construct. Shit, everything else is. I get there when I get there. But you know what's so crazy? My being on time doesn't impede my ability to do my work. I think that's not why I get away with it, but why it's like so low on my list of professional goals.
It's a dismissive hand for me. Okay.
I get to it. Because when I am at a job, any job, I do my job and I do my job well.
I do my job.
All right.
And
Y'all
I
heard
try
it.
to do it
So,
well.
miss me with the time.
As she wears a watch.
That's dead, actually. I don't be looking at that shit.
Never mind.
I mean, I'm really good with time management in terms of like assigning myself a certain task and prioritizing and organizing. I'm really good with that, getting things done. But being on time is really difficult for me. But I'm working on it. I've gotten better. Ask my husband. I've known this man for 8 years now? I have come a long way, honey. Long way. Ask my friends. Shit. So anyways, being on time is definitely like number 3. I say number 4 for professional is, I'm going to piggyback off of you, girl, is turning my passions into professions, which I feel like we're starting to do. We're on the road to that. I just feel like I have been tapping more into my creative side a lot, and I love that for me because this is what brings me the most joy, is doing things that I have fun doing. And I love music. I love a lot of things that, you can compile into the art world. And so, I'm working on my memoir. I'm working on a children's book. I'm working on this. Like, I know I have a lot going on, but I love having a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I function in the chaos as well.
So my therapist said that is
a trauma response?
Yes.
Oh my
and
gosh.
An example of anxiety, high functioning anxiety, as well as depression. But that's another topic for another day. But
well, tell your therapist. No, I'm joking. She might be right. No, stop.
She right, I guess. But it works for us, So those are my four goals. So we'll see. We'll hold each other accountable. Ooh, is this our new answer?
Oh, yeah,
Pinky
accountable.
promise?
Yes. I love
it.
it. Definitely is. That's our thing. Got it.
When we had polled y'all on when keeping it real goes right on our IG, we had 3 questions. One of them was, have you ever felt siloed at work? 75% of you said absolutely, it's happened more than once. 25% of you said maybe, I never really paid attention to it. Second question, being siloed at work is a result of gender or race, choice, theirs or others. Number 3, unconscious bias. Or number 4, all of the above and then some. 100% of y'all said 100% of y'all said all of the above and then some. And then the last question was, have you been an active participant in isolating a colleague? 25% of y'all said yes, it's happened before. Another 25% of y'all said maybe, I never reflected on it before. And then 50% of y'all said I witnessed it happening and stepped in. I would love to know those stories.
Okay, I'm mad that you did not bring that up, first of all. Because that's bullying. You silent. Okay.
So
No,
I'm
not
saying,
you.
oh, okay. I'm like,
No.
So what? This is why I think people, when they said I witnessed it happening and stepped in, they stepped in.
No, but the 25%.
Maybe I never reflected on it before. People don't think about stuff like that.
No, the 20. Who said yes?
Oh yes, it's happened before.
How many people?
25%.
Yeah, y'all some bullies. Y'all some workforce bullies.
But I think that those are people that were reflecting on their experiences, pulling different scenarios and be like, oh my God, I was like isolating this person.
You were a bully? No, I'm joking. I am joking.
Is
yes.
she though?
No, I am. Because honestly,
I think we're all a little bit of a bully at work.
this is why I'm joking. But we can say that we intentionally leave out people that kill the vibe. Like, if you're going to bring the mood down.
That, I feel like, you know what? I isolate. I may not isolate you, like, outward and openly. But if you do something or say something on more than one occasion that rubs me the wrong way, I'm not fucking with you.
That's real.
But the thing is, I'm so good at isolating my feelings, which is another topic for another day. Because I do that in friendships, relationships. Like, yeah, it's weird. You'll never know it. Because I don't allow that to impede my professionalism in the workforce.
Same here. No, same. But that goes back to am I doing lunch with you? But you will never know either. I would never, ever. The only person that gets the satisfaction of knowing that they hurt my feelings are 3 people. I should say people. Not
my
person.
man.
Just 2, actually. My husband and my sister, because I'm a chewer up. That's why. But my husband, a coworker, you hurt whose feelings?
It's fuck you and moving on.
Yeah.
It's fuck you, moving on, and noted.
And I would still say hi to you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hi. And
hi.
bye.
Yep. All right.
It's a wrap. Oh. I like that, though. They sleep. All right.